If you all stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have roll calls.
Mr. Seidel. Mr. Taylor.
Present.
Dr. Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Reeves.
Here.
Ms. Handy.
Here.
Mr. Bull.
Present.
Ms. Turner. Here. Dr. Holden.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here. Dr.
Hall.
Here.
Mayor Smith.
All right. You've had an opportunity to review the minutes. Are there any questions, any concerns? By common consent, we will declare the minutes approved. Item 3.01, Library Month. Oh.
Whereas April 20, 2023 has been designated the 38th Annual National School Library Month, and whereas school libraries provide materials for teachers and students that will encourage growth and knowledge, and whereas school libraries provide material that will develop literacy skills, cultural awareness, artistic appreciation, and ethics standards, and whereas school libraries provide materials which reflect the ideas and beliefs of different religions, social policies, historical and ethnic groups, and their contributions to the American and world heritage and culture. And whereas school libraries provide access to both physical and digital books to encourage children to read for pleasure. And whereas school libraries provide materials to meet individual needs, varied interests, abilities, socioeconomic backgrounds, and maturity levels of the students served. And whereas school libraries serve as positive environments for all students to access and engage with a well-managed library that provides for free expression and access to ideas. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Accomack County School Board and the Accomack County Superintendent of Schools declares the month of April 2023 as School Library Month, adopted by the School Board of Accomack County on this 11th day of April 2023. And we have one of our librarians out.
We have two.
Oh, two? This is Michelle Slusser from Kengetang, and don't get me calling names here.
Maybe more.
Debbie Moore from Arcadia High School.
Well, thank you very much for your service. We truly appreciate all you do for our children.
Thank you. Thank you for your support for librarians.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we have some board policies for 1 through 10, and I would like to pull 7, so we have separate discussion, but I can take a motion on all the others. So are there any other questions?
I have a question about 3.
Okay, and we'll pull 3, we'll discuss that too.
Okay.
All right, we want to approve all but 3 and 7. Make a motion.
All right, a motion that we approve policies 4.10, 4.12, 4.04, 4.05, 4.06, 4.08, 4.09, and 4.10.
Second.
It's been moved and second, all in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. All right, 4.03, your question?
So my question is, you're changing it to the superintendent is authorized to make line item transfers within a major classification budget. And is there,
Yes, sir.
I guess I'm asking why we're doing that, is there a need to do that, and will there be a limit onto what the number amount is that can be repurposed?
So we are appropriated in total, so that is, we come to you and authorize if it's between budget categories. So I don't see that affecting that, I don't see that, there being a need that will happen, is what I'm trying to say. The county appropriates us in total, and by major categories, And then if we change anything in major categories, you know, every, like July and August, I come to you all. That would still happen, because I have to have it in the, and we don't worry about, not that we don't worry about it, we don't have line item changes. We do when we actually get in the budget, but we have by major categories. You still must approve that, as far as I'm aware. So, we would still have that practice.
Okay, so maybe I want to suggest, maybe we need to look at this policy a little closer.
Maybe we do.
I think we've got to pull this and look at it a little
But
more.
if we're not gonna use it,
Yeah, I get, well, cause what it does just the opposite of what you're saying.
Right, and I don't
Yeah.
see why
I
we would
don't
be.
see, I don't see why we would doing it either. I agree.
Well, I'll be glad to look at it, maybe we can come back to it, I don't know, or just send an email and say, I don't agree.
Do we all agree?
I agree.
Okay, and on 7, I've got a problem, where it says, that donated computers, devices, are not attached to our system. If a computer is donated to us, it becomes our computer, and it's part of our system. So I do have a problem with that, and I would like to suggest that that we would ask Dr. Hall to go back and correct this before we read this as a second reading.
Where is it, right?
It's on the, if you look at, under security and acceptable use, and you look at the 5th dot, and the 5th dot is saying that, only, division-owned computer systems, and donate, and the others can't be included, including donated computer devices.
Yeah, I think you need definition of
Yeah.
what that means. What is a donated computer? What's a donated is
Yes.
not part of our.
So if Microsoft just happen to give us some devices, those are considered donated. And they really should be considered our devices. Once we accept the donation, they're ours.
Yeah, as long as we approve it.
Yeah, as long as we approve, we accept. So what I'd like to do is have that rewritten.
that makes sense.
Okay, you have some first readings, that are coming before you for the next time. We'll ask you to take a look at those, and, you can, ask any questions during the interim period, and we'll be ready to talk about it next next Monday, or Tuesday, if we have any, if everything is okay. All right, next item is 6.01, Special Education Annual Plan.
Ms. Annis?
Oh, you're, sorry, you're up first.
Good evening, everybody. Let's start with the third tab, individual duties. The first 2 pages are just the cover page with the school division information. So this is my annual plan for the year, and I'm presenting it with the same level of funding of last year. We've been directed from the state to maintain funding, so everything is the same as of last year until they give us any new adjustments. So for the section on the division have any barriers at this time, we do not have any barriers that would prevent us from carrying out the plan as it is written. The section for regional and local jails, we do have a jail in our division. We do not have students that end up attending at the jail. They're typically sent across the bay to Norfolk, so there's not been a need there for all of the years. Then the report on the implementation, it's just a summary. Yeah. It's just a summary of how the money was spent from 21 to 22, which is pretty consistent year after year. We pay the salaries and benefits for some of our special education teachers and assistants. We also buy instructional materials for the teachers, and then it pays for the office supplies in the special education office and the annual IEP program that we use. The maintenance of effort every year. Beth thoroughly enjoys doing these figures. That is something that she does every year to basically compare how the division is spending money on students with disabilities versus everybody as a whole. So those are the only new figures in the whole plan. Then the next section under CEIS or proportionate set aside, we are not mandated under either of these areas as being mandated to allocate funds in this area. We do, however, set aside funds for PSA every year, which are students that are homeschooled, that live in the Accomack County borders. We do have, for the first time since I've been in this position, a new church school that is opening in Accomack. So we have been by there several times, knocked on the door. We've not been able to get anybody yet, but we understand it's underway and they're advertising for students for next year. So we do have to make them aware of our child fine obligations. So if they have any students that attend that school and they end up having a disability or have a related service of speech, things like that, we have an obligation to support them. So every year we set aside money to support kids. We have quite a few kids now that we are serving speech every year.
So is that the 12,000?
Yes.
That seems low to me, is that?
It's less than 10 kids, and the only thing that it pays is for like their speech services. So the speech therapist will bill the county, which we then bill this fund to pay for the teachers or the therapist's time and then for a little bit of planning. So some kids might only get speech once a month, they might get it twice a week, it just kind of depends on the child. We typically never spend it all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So then under 611, this is the section where the largest portion of our money comes from. That covers the salary and benefits for 10 instructional assistants and 11 special education teachers. Since we have to maintain our same level of funding as last year, this figure does not incorporate, if you scroll down. Go back up just a little bit to that chart. David, I saw it a
I
minute.
think it's
Before the next one, up. Go down one more.
Yeah, keep going. There it is. So these figures are the exact same figures as last year. So this does not incorporate the 5% raise that those teachers or assistants would get. So Beth and I have talked, we'll have to figure out, you know, if we have to adjust staff or what have you, depending on what the state does as far as our funds. Because we always adjust for the raise and for the ERS in this budget, but at this time we cannot. So then 619 is a very small pot of money. It's for early childhood special education. It continues to pay for part of one full-time instructional assistant. And same thing with that. If you scroll down, Greta, there's the figures there, and that's a very small pot when you consider their salary plus their benefits. Oh. And that is it.
Are there
Do
any
you have any
questions?
questions? Okay. I do, because I'll need a signature.
Do I have a motion to approve the plan as presented?
A motion that we approve the special ed report and report. Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, financial update.
Good evening. I know that there's two things mentioned on the financial update, but I also wanted to tell you that we have submitted an RFP for the design build of the technology building. And we have 3 firms that we are interviewing. We conducted one yesterday, one today, and one tomorrow. So that will we will probably bring back a recommendation to the school board either April 18th or May 2nd on that one. Now for the structural analysis of the Accomack Primary School. I received something on Friday that said we'll finalize the report draft and anticipate sending it on Tuesday. I sent something in saying we have a school board meeting tonight, I'd really like to have, you know, an update, and I did not get an answer on that. So just, I'd like to read you a little bit of the email stream, just so that you know that we are on this and we are trying to get this in. On March 21st, I sent an email that said, per the below project schedule timeline, ACPS was expecting a structural analysis around Friday, March 3rd. We have not heard anything from WJE or you. Please provide us with as an update so I can inform the school board at tonight's meeting. That was on March 21st. Then she did respond and said she apologized. She's been out of the office playing catch up. The review of the material samples removed from site took longer than expected due to backlog at the lab. I just got the results toward the end of last week and am incorporating them into our report. I anticipate having a draft for your review next week. Again, that was March 21st. I responded, while I can understand unanticipated delays, the timetable you submitted in your February 15th, 2023 email indicated a deliverable date of March 3rd for the structural analysis. If the go-ahead was given on that phase, a hazardous materials analysis deliverable was scheduled for March 17th. If we will not receive the structural analysis report until next week, that is 3 to 4 weeks behind schedule. The original timeline is only 8 weeks. This is very significant delay, which I believe merited some correspondence. As has been explained previously, there's a lot of public interest in the results of your report, and unexplained and unexpected delays only lend to the thoughts of lack of transparency on our part, which is definitely not the case. She responded on the 22nd and said, I understand I dropped the ball here in communicating these updates and know firsthand how hard these delays can increase scrutiny from all interested parties. We're working on finalizing the report now, and we'll do a better job moving forward at providing status updates. So then on March 31st, I said I wanted to check in. She said I want to check in and give you an update. Our report is finished. It is currently being internally reviewed. I anticipate receiving any comments back later today, that's March 31st. We'll address those and issue a draft for your review. If I see any changes to that timeline, I will keep you updated. So I respond on the same date, said thank you for the update. What date will we receive the draft? She didn't respond. April 3rd, I sent another one, still checking on the status of your report. April 4th, which is this past Friday. I spoke with the reviewer this morning. They are still working through our report. I will have a better update by later today or tomorrow. And then on Friday, April 7th, it sounds like I'll get the review back later today. We'll finalize the report draft and anticipate sending it on Tuesday. Then today I said, I have a school board meeting tonight. Can you please update me on the status of your report so that I can share that with them? And I have not heard a response. So I just wanted to put it out there that we are not being, and I am copying Mike Mason on all of these, because as you know, this is a joint venture with us and the county. So he is aware, and we are not just sitting back waiting for them to, I think we've said some pretty hard words on, where is this report?
So
I just wanted to give you an update and tell you that, we've not just been lax on it. We have been following up.
we thank you for your diligence, and
Okay.
hopefully we'll have it next week.
It's supposed to be today, but like I said, still haven't received it. Okay, then the other thing I wanted to talk about was the budget. So I did speak to Rob Loxam, and he says that he is not anticipating any passing of a compromised budget until probably the end of June. Because he feels like they're waiting for the primaries and they're not gonna act. So that puts us in a position, because we don't wanna wait until the end of June. If they don't pass a budget, I asked him that, what happens if they don't pass a state budget? We revert back to the budget for the second year of the biennium, which was passed last June of '22. This is much worse for us, because that budget does not include any COPA funds. Both the House and the Senate version that are out there that they can't get a compromise on, both include one-time distribution funds. I don't wanna say COPA, but COPA everybody kinda knows, but it still would just be for one time. So this is not a good thing for us. But then again, I don't feel like we can wait until the end of June to pass a budget. We have letters that have to go out, we have contracts that have to go out. Clara needs to know our salary scale so that she can make offers to people, and if we don't have a budget until the end of June, I don't feel like that would be beneficial to Accomack County Schools. We can always go back and amend the budget, but I feel like we need to get to the point of trying to pass a budget. So I suggest we move forward with the June of 22 budget. If you remember from before, we were short $2.1 million, and that did not include the $616,000 error that was made in the budget office at DOE. So that puts us at 2.75 million short. So I will go over the revenues. I looked at last June's budget compared to what we have in our budget book. And so overall, it's a decrease of $257,000. But then remember how I go through and I do the reduction in expenditures related to the change. So we capture about 143,000 of that back in expenditures we no longer have to make. For example, early reading intervention is decreased. Even though it's a decrease in revenue, it's also a corresponding decrease in expenditures. Also, there was a much more conservative sales tax estimate last June. That has gone up about $360,000. So I feel comfortable putting that back in. So all told, it looks like it might be about $283,000 better with the June 6th because of the sales tax. And one of the big things that came out was that the governor had proposed a bonus for $207,000. Well, if his isn't passed, then we don't have to pay that out. So that was a huge savings for us. So I've talked to Dr. Hall, and we talked about doing some creative things maybe with our salary scales. If we revert back, we revert to 5%. So the Senate or the House could still, they're proposing 7%, and if they pass something at the final hour, we will have to address that at that time. But we're looking at 5%. When Ms. Chandler goes for job fairs, the other school divisions are starting at 50. So we're gonna look at some creative things to try to see what we can do for the bottom half, as in the earlier years of our scales. So we would like permission to start back with that, start working on things, and make a presentation to you on our May 2nd meeting.
I think we're all in agreement. That would be great.
Okay? Thank you.
All right. Thank you both so much. Okay. Item 7.01, superintendent's report.
Okay, good evening. As most of you are aware, Wetumpka we let them go early today because we had septic problems, but it will be open tomorrow. We have, Paul has informed us that they have a pump and dump truck that will be there all day tomorrow, pumping and dumping, while they repair, the system. So, I've let Michelle know that her kids will not be virtual tomorrow, and they can have school as normal tomorrow. Just a few updates. Next week, Ms. Farrell's gonna give you an update on the book bus. Everybody knows that in our grant, our ESSER grant, we put in for a mobile book bus. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm not gonna steal any of Katie's thunder, but next week she's gonna report to you about the progress of it. We're shooting for a ribbon cutting on May 16th. And you'll get next week to see how it looks, the wrap on it and everything. So it's really exciting. And next week, Mr. O'Shea also will present will bring another principal in to present their school improvement update. So what we've been doing here lately, which has been occupying a lot of Ms. Taylor's time, because she's the person that I keep sending, STEM. STEM is a really, really big hot topic for us now in our schools. And we've been invited to be a part of some exciting STEM initiatives. And so I'm gonna ask Ms. Taylor just to briefly explain to you two major initiatives that we have opportunities with STEM. So, Karen?
So, like you said, since second semester started, a lot of things have come across our table. So we've kind of hit the ground running with several STEM initiatives. Also want to give you all some updates of things that have already been brought to you all, so you know where we stand with everything. Cal Ripken Senior Foundation. As you know, the elementary school, we have a lab in every elementary. Well, now we are fully funded for all of our middle schools. They just got the final donors for Arcadia Middle and Nandale Middle. They just did their pictures right before break for Nandale Middle. They're coming back to do the pictures with Arcadia Middle, as well as by the end of this month, we're going to be doing PD with our middle school selected teachers, and then do a train the trainer hopefully this summer to get it up and running. And they've already ordered all the equipment before break, so we're patiently waiting for all that to get shipped in. Miss Owens, Miss McCrae, we're all very excited. Shingatig had already been part of the elementary when Landsberger did his donation as part of the Shingatig Elementary Schools. So they were already going. We also met while the representatives of the foundation was here with the high school principals. So high school is one that's kind of newer for the foundation. And like they said, with the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation, when they look at the labs, not every lab should look the same. They look different in accordance to the demographics, the resources, the funding, and really what school divisions really want. So that's kind of what they wanted to see from our principals of, you know, what do we think for Accomack, how it should look, as well as they met with Northampton to see how does Northampton, because as some of you all may know, for those that don't, we are the only school division, Accomack and Northampton, in the entire state of Virginia that is partnered with Cal Ripken to be able to do these labs. So we're really excited about that. So the goal is by January 2024, we will have labs in our high schools. With that, they were a busy group, I will say, the week that they came. So not only did they meet with them, but also, if you all remember, Eastern Community College came and talked about the governor's initiative for the lab school grant. We were approved. So we got all that approved. Now we're into the planning phase of it. So while they were here, they're also going to partner with Eastern Shore Community College. So they met with them, as well as they met with NASA and representatives of NASA, because the goal is, as part of the grant that was approved through Lab Schools for Eastern Community College, the name is Aerospace Academy Lab School of the Eastern Shore. And the goal is not just for Accomack, but for Northampton as a community, that we're represented here on the Eastern Shore with NASA, with aerospace, and all that goes with it. That it's not just about being an engineer. You know, they need accountants, they need procurement, they need scientists, they need different fields. But the biggest thing Cal Ripken wants to push is, this is not just a high school thing or a middle school thing. This is a K through post grad. Our elementary school kids need to be exposed, they need to see what it's all about. Middle school needs to be doing more research, hands-on. But from high school, they should have their career path picked, and then have the cohort of who's going into what field post-grad, either through the Eastern Community College, or what is next that I got invited to go to, was an initiative through Old Dominion University. So I did that the week before break. And I met on the 30th at ODU with the CTE director of Virginia Beach Public Schools and Norfolk Public Schools. Initially, ODU is only going to work with those two schools. Thanks to Pat Brenner, for any of you all know her at NASA. She's a huge advocate for our students here on the Eastern Shore. She does a lot of programs, very big, you know, getting our kids into internships and definitely getting their foot in the door at Wallops NASA and keeping our kids here. So she was a big advocate that said, hey, if you want to partner with us, then we need to include Accomack, not always drive past Accomack to get to NASA. So thanks to her, she reached out to the representative, they contacted Dr. Hall, so I went over and I'll be presenting, you know, what are the things we have for CTE here. They had no idea about the Cal Ripken Foundation, they had no idea of things that, you know, we have in place, but it's a matter of getting it fully implemented. So I met with several representatives from the Virginia Consortium, from NASA, also VDOE, and the U.S. Department of Education was there as well. And the U.S. Department of Education has partnered with what they call Luminary Labs, and they are a consultant that goes in and works with Fortune 500 nonprofit organizations to basically get them to thrive and get things rolling. And the biggest thing, and I totally agree with the representative from the U.S. Department of Education, is over the past 20 years, this whole initiative is geared to middle school. Over the past 20 years, our middle school CTE has really gone by the wayside, not as a division, not as a state, but nationwide. And that's why he was there to say, you know, mostly because of funding. Perkins funds has gone down a lot, but now as a nationwide thing, it is to look back at ZTE to see what do we need to do. So we want to put in more technology education courses, which would be part of the STEM, part of aerospace, and have more classes in that. And with having the STEM labs from Cal Ripken, that helps us fund with the equipment part of it, as well as we would have the instructors. So Luminary is going to do a 10-day PD this summer for 2 of our teachers. One of them is already Mr. Dean Dedicatoria. He's very excited about it, and I actually got to see what they're going to be doing over the course of the 10 days. And basically it's the curriculum that we'll be doing in middle school. And a lot of the stuff he's already doing in his current robotics class that we piloted last year. So, and Pat Brenner's worked with him on several things with NASA, summer camps and things. So we're really excited, and then we'll have another teacher as well join him this summer, so that way they can come back again, do a train the trainer. But the biggest thing is offer more CTE courses to our middle school kids. The more they're exposed, the more they're knowledgeable about it, so that when they get into high school, they pick their career path. So with ODU and the Luminary, Calrican, as you can see, the big picture of it all is coming together to get more going on with STEM, especially in Accomack County. So we're really excited about it, and honestly, it's just kind of literally since second semester started, it all kind of came together at one time. But the goal is between now and the start of the semester, getting the middle school lab and things going, and again by 2024 January, so second semester of next year, for the high school to be more up and running with their STEM programs. Also just making kids aware that it's not just about being an engineer, you know, or certain things, it's a lot of fields to, you know, the aerospace.
Any questions? Go ahead.
So I want to begin and end by saying thank you. Really, really exciting. Question with regard to the middle school, great news there, train the trainer. The teachers who are going to be getting the training first and then have to go do the training, are we able to offer any incentives? I'm also curious.
So the 10-day camp this summer that ODU is going to do for Dean Dedicatoria and another teacher, they're actually going to get a $2,000 stipend to do it, as well as PD points towards their recertification. Anytime we do any PD, we definitely want to make sure they get their recertification points. That's usually a big one. But we do also, anytime we do the summer or even at night, a lot of our PD is virtual now. They get a stipend for that as well. Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you so very much for the good news. All right, that's it. And we, I did talk to our superintendent, and we'll go about it. He's anxious to get back, but he's still underway. All right, do I have a motion to go into closed session?
The board will adjourn to closed meeting as allowed by section 2.2-3711 Code of Virginia, subsection A1 personnel, subsection A2 student matters, and subsection A7 legal.
Second. It's been moved and second, we go into closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.